Today we are going to configure FTP transfer protocol. This file transfer protocol uses the client server architecture. That means in FTP it is actually a protocol, it is a standard protocol, and with this, when we configure this protocol, it uses the client server architecture. Client server architecture to where we have one machine as a server which stores all the data, and the other machines we use them as a client of the server, which do use the files stored on the server. So clients can do what? Can use the files from server. That means they can use to download the file from the server, and then also they can upload the file to the server. So this FTP is actually file transfer protocol, which uses we use this protocol to do what? To transfer the file from one machine to other machine. But it uses the client server architecture where file stored on the server, and the service FTP service will be provided by the server, and client machines, they have to use the service. That means client has to authenticate themselves to connect the server, and then they can use the services of the server. They can use the FTP service from the server. So this is our Linux 1 where we are going to configure FTP services. That means we are going to use this server as a server, FTP server, and we have another machine, this that is Linux 2, and this machine we are going to use as a client. Now users will be configured on server. So users are configured here. So we have these users available, that is user 1, 2, 3 configured here, and these users can use the services, they can log in. So when the client, when from the client machine we try to log into the FTP server, then it will ask the username and password. It will ask for authentication, and then what we will do, we will provide this username and password, and then they can use the services. Now for configuring this server as a FTP server, first what we need is a package. So if we want to configure any services on this Linux server, so what we have to make sure that we have the packages available, and we have to install the packages for configuring the services. So for configuring the FTP services, we need the package here, which is called VSFTPD, and that package we have to install in this server to configure this server as a FTP server. Now we will check whether we have a package installed or not, and we can do that by using the RPM command -q and the package name, which we want to see that whether it is installed or not. It says it is not installed, and if we have configured yum server, local configured yum server, then also we can use yum to check the package. Like I can say yum list VSFTPD, is it installed or not? So it is saying that this package is available, it is not installed. So the first thing what we do is to install the package. Now we can install the package by using the RPM command, or we can use the yum server also. If we have configured the yum server, local yum server, then we can use this to install the package. So either way we can install the package. For example, if I want to install it from RPM, so I have to use IPM-IVH and the path where our DVD is mounted, and the file path. So this is the package which is here under this location. So I will use this command to install this. Now it is not having any dependency. This package does not have any dependencies. But if suppose the package needs to have some dependencies, then what? RPM, when we try to use it from RPM, we have to resolve the dependencies manually. So it is a good idea to configure the yum server first, so that we don't need to resolve the dependency manually. It can do what? It can resolve the dependencies automatically. So if you want to install it from RPM command, then this is the command. Or if I want to install it from yum, so I can just run yum install and the name of the package VSFTPD, and when I press enter, it will check the package is installed or not, and then it is going to install. It checks the dependencies also. There is no dependencies for this VSFTPD, so it is going to install. It is asking us yes or no, so I'll say yes, and it is going to install the package. Now after installing the package, we can verify by using the rpm query command, and now it is installed. Now when you install the package, so you should know that what files have come after installing these packages. So only when you know what files and the directories comes with this package, then you can know the important files and directories which is created with this package. So configuring any server, you should know that what are the important files we have. What are the important files we have for this particular service or for this particular configuration. So for configuring this FTP server, when we install the package, so we can check the important files by using the QL command. This command will show you that what files have come or created by this protocol. So when I run the command, it shows me all the files which is created by this package. So what files are there? And there are some important files. First, under the etc directory, we have all the configuration files. Among these configuration files, we have this main configuration directory. This is the main configuration directory for FTP services, and in this configuration directory, we have some configuration files here, but this is the main configuration file for this service, for this FTP. So if we want to do some configurations, then this is the file, and here we have to do the configuration. Then after this, when we install the package, when we want to run the FTP service here, then what we have to know that what is the service here. So this is the service file we have for this FTP service, and this is the service file which is vsftpd.service. This is the service unit for systemd, and this is need to be run when we want to start the server, and it is located under usr lib systemd system directory, where all the other services or unit files are located. So this is located here, it is in the main directory. Now if we want to start this, then we can start this service. If you want to start the server, stop the server, then we use this service to start and stop. Then we have one command here, and then what we have all the documentation related to this VSFTPD related to the FTP. Like for example, the README, license, how to install, and README about the security design, implementation, overview, trust, and the other examples and sample files. There are man pages also available for this, like for the configuration file, that how you want to configure, how you can configure the configuration file, what configurations you can add, and also the man page for the command VSFTPD. Now this VSFTPD, when we install, it creates this FTP directory for under this var directory. Now this FTP directory is actually for the default website, default database directory. This is the default database directory for this FTP services. Remember, FTP services are used to transfer the file from client to server and server to client. So in this, we have a server, and server stores all the files, and clients do what? Clients upload and download the files. So this is the directory, this is the common, this is the default directory for users, where users can upload and download the files. In that directory, we have one more directory, that is pub. Pub means public directory. Public directory, that means it is for everyone. Now we know these are the main important files for the FTP services. Now we want to start the server. We want to start the FTP server. So if we want to start the FTP server, then we can just start the service. So when we start the service, that means we start the server. So how you will do that? We will start the service by using systemctl command. Systemctl, I will check the status of VSFTPD service, and it is saying this is by default inactive and disabled, dead. This is the default status we can see here, This is the default status because whenever we restart, so because of this, whenever we restart the system, it will always goes to disable. And this is why, because it is vendor preset. That means this is out of the box, this service will always remain disabled. Right now this service is default disabled, but always it will be disabled. So whenever you install the operating system, it will be always disabled. Then here you can see loaded means it is loaded properly, the configurations and the library files are loaded properly, so the configurations, other files are loaded properly, but right now it is not running, it is inactive, dead. Now if I want to start the server, FTP server, then what I will do, I will just start the service. So for starting the service, I will run the command systemctl start vsftpd dot service, or I can just give a vsftpd. It will add dot service by itself. This command, systemctl command, will do what? It will add the dot service in any name which we give. So whether you give dot service or you don't give dot service, both will work. Like for example, here for checking the status, I have only mentioned vsftpd. I have not mentioned dot service. But here for starting it, I will mention service, both will work. Now the service is started. When you check the status, the service is started now. Now when the service is started, that means the server is started. FTP server is started now. But it is still default status is disabled. That means when we reboot the server, then what it will do, it will go back to disable. It will go back to inactive or dead. It will not start again. So you have to make sure whenever you start any server, when you configure any server and you start the server by running the service, then you have to make sure that the service will run every time after reboot also. That means you have to make this persistent. Whenever you reboot the system, the service will be started. For that, we have to change this disable default disable status. Now for changing this, what we will do, we will run systemctl enable and then vsftpd. Now this will do what? It will enable the service, and it will enable by default. That means whenever we restart the server, it will always start the service. And we can check by using this status command now. And now we can see here it is saying enable. So we have configured we have started the service, we have started the server, we have made the server to run every time persistently. Like when we reboot the system, the service will keep running after reboot. So we have started the server, but we have not changed anything. That means what? We have configured, we have started the server with the default settings. Now what is the default settings? We should check first the default settings, and then we will see how we can configure or change these default settings. So what is the default configuration for this server? Because we have not configured anything, we will check it from our client. So we'll go to our client, that is Linux 2. So first I will see whether our server is connected or not, which is 19.1. So it is connected, it is getting the reply, that means we are connected to server. Now we want to use the FTP services from here. So we have two options here. We can use it from the browser. If suppose we have a browser available, so we can use the browser to connect the FTP services, FTP server, or we can connect it from command line also. So for example, I want to connect it from the browser. So I open the browser here, and what I will do here, I will give the URL. Like by default, when you give any URL here, like for example, if I type 19.0.0.1, a name of our
hello sir, we are not getting you.
In the browser, when you give any name or URL here, and if you press enter, so it will do what? It will try to use HTTP protocol, but we want to use the FTP protocol. So what we do, we put here FTP://, That means instead of HTTP, we want to get the we want to connect this server with FTP protocol. So when you run this, it will do what? It will send a request to the FTP server, which is our Linux 1, 19.0.0.1 is the IP, and then if it is available, then it will give the reply and give the access. So I will enter here. Now when I enter, what I see here is this pub directory. Now pub directory, that means what I'm getting here is the access of FTP directory. Let us put some data there. So we'll put some data there on the server. So we'll go to server here, and what we will do, we will go to the data directory, default database directory, that is under where FTP, and here I will put some files here. I will touch some file like file 1, file 2, file 3. So I have created some 3 files here with this pub directory. Now this is the default database directory for FTP. So when the user try to log in from the browser, so what they see this directory. So when we access, I will refresh from here. So when you access from the browser, what you see, you will see the FTP directory. It is giving the access of that FTP directory where we have created these 3 files, and there is a directory pub also created there. This is the default directory created by the FTP package. So we can see these files are there. So when we access from the browser, by default it gives the access of the default database directory, that is under where FTP, and here we see the files created under that directory, which this with this pub directory. Now I told you that the FTP uses the client server architecture, where when you try to access the server, it asks for the authentication, but it has not asked anything here. When I try to access it from the browser, it did not ask anything. Now why it did not ask anything? Let's try it from the command line. Now this time we'll try it from the command line, the next option. Next option is to connect the FTP server. We can use it from command line. We can give the FTP command here, and then we will mention the name or IP address to connect the FTP server. Now this FTP is actually a command line tool, the client tool. This is the client tool, but by default sometimes this tool is not installed. So if you run this command, it says command not found. Now that means what? This client tool is not installed. So we have to install this tool also. So it is also available in our DVD installation media. So if it is connected here, so we can install it from there. We can run command ivh, and the media is mounted under run. And the file, the package name is also FTP. This package, FTP package, will give us this command, client line tool, this client tool, so that we can access the FTP server through the command line. Now when I run this, it is installed. It is very simple too. So it is installed, it give us the command only. What we got with this, if you check what we got this package after installing the package, so we got only command, FTP command, and then the documentation for that command, main page. Okay, now I will run again the command to connect. Now what it is saying here, connected to this server, this VSFTPD 3.0.2. Now it is asking me the username here. Remember, when I try to access it from the browser, it was not asking me any username and password, directly connects me. But here it is asking me the username, and then after that it will ask me the password also. So why it has not asked in the browser? Because browsers, the internet browser will do what? By default it try to access the FTP server by using the anonymous user account. Now anonymous means nobody. There is no account called anonymous. Anonymous is just a no account. It is nobody account. Here I can try also anonymous. It uses the anonymous user to access the FTP server, that is nobody, and without any password. That is why in browser it has not asked any password. So when I try here in the command line anonymous, it asks the password, I will say I don't have, enter, and still I can log in successfully. So I am logging in as an anonymous user without any password. By default, it allows the anonymous user to log into FTP server. This is what default behavior of FTP server. So by default, the anonymous user is enabled. The anonymous user, that means nobody, this nobody user can access the FTP server, without any password. And when the anonymous user logs in, it goes into default database directory, that is what FTP. This is what under where FTP, where we have created these files. So by default, the default behavior, the default configuration is anonymous users are enabled. They can log in without any password, and when they log in, they go to the FTP directory. Now what else anonymous user can do? Now remember, the client users can do what? They can download and upload the file from server. So anonymous user can also download. So if there is a file there on server, suppose these files are on their server, so anonymous user can download those files. Now if we want to download any file from FTP server through the command line, so we will use a command mget. We use command mget and then we will mention the file name. For example, I want to get file 1 from the server. So I will say mget file 1, and when I press enter, it says, do you want really? Are you sure? I say yes, and the file is transferred. And you can see the transfer is completed. So the file is downloaded here in this local system. Now where it goes here in the local system, that is also important. So if you want to know where it goes, so you should know that when you try to log into FTP server, you are on which directory. So when we try to log into the FTP server, we were on root user's home directory. So when I download the file, I was logged in as a root user here, local root user, and also I was in the local root user's home directory. So the file which I download from the FTP server, it goes into that home directory. We can check it. I will open the other terminal here. And from this terminal I will check what is under root user's home directory. So that is what we have downloaded, this file. This file we have downloaded from FTP server. Now we can upload the file to FTP server also, like files which is here under this root user's home directory, we can upload it to the server also. Now for uploading the file, we can run the command mput and then the name of that file. Like we have this file linux2.txt, and I want to upload this file to server, so I will mention linux2.txt I want to upload. Now I am giving only the name directly here because right now we are in the same directory when we logged into the FTP server. So we were on the root user's home directory, and that directory we have this file which we want to upload. So it is in the same directory, so we can give the name directly. And when I give the name directly and press enter, it says, are you sure? I say yes, I am sure. Now it says permission denied. So why it is denied? It is denied because we logged in as an anonymous user, and this is what the default configuration. So by default what we have anonymous user enabled in FTP server, and anonymous user can log in without any password. Now anonymous means nobody. Now nobody, that means it is not an authenticated user. So authenticated user, it is not an authenticated user. So what it can do, it can download the files, and also it will go to the default database directory of FTP, that is var FTP, and it can do what? It can download the files from there, but it cannot upload the file. It is denied, permission denied, because it is not an authenticated user. So by default it is not allowed to upload anything on server. So this is the default configuration. Anonymous user is enabled, it can log in. When it logs, it goes to the default database directory, that is var FTP of server. Then it can download the files from there, but it cannot upload. Exit. I have exit from the server. Now I will try to log in again, but this time I will use the valid authenticated user of server. So on server we have the users, user 1, user 2, user 3, user 4. So I will try one of that authenticated user. So I will try user 1 here. It is asking for the password. I will give the password, and I am logged in successfully. So that means the normal users can also log in, and that is also enabled by default. Now when I try to check what files we have, so it is showing the different files. It is not showing those files which was shown when we try to log in with the anonymous user account. So it is a different files. Now what these files are? These files are from the home directory of this user, because when we logged in through the normal user account, then normal users will go to their home directory by default. They don't go to the default database directory, they don't go to var FTP, they go to their home directory, they go to their default home directory, their home directory, and it is showing these files from the home directory of this user 1. We can check the path by using the pwd command. It says that right now we are under /home/user1, because we are logged in as a user 1. So if user 2 logs in, so it goes to user 2 home directory. If user 3 logs in, it will go to user 3's home directory. So this is the default configuration. Normal users can log in, and when the normal users logged in, they go to their home directory. They don't go to the default database directory. Now as the anonymous user, it can download the files, but it was not able to upload the file. Now what these normal users can do? So I will try to download the file from here. Like for example, I will try to download this up.txt. So I will give mget command, and I want to get up.txt file from there, and I say yes, I want to get it, and it is transferred. It is transferred completed. Where it goes to root user's home directory, and we can see this is up.txt here. Now I want to upload the file. This is the file I want to upload, and I want to upload it to user 1's home directory. It is going to be in user 1's home directory. So I will try to upload. For uploading, I will give command mput, and then I will mention the file name. It says, are you sure? I say yes, I am sure, and it is transferred. It is transferred, and transfer completed. So when you check, the file is uploaded to the server and in the user 1's home directory. So it is allowed for authenticated users, that is our normal users of server. So by default, what users can do? Normal users can download and upload. They can do both, and the file goes to user 1's home directory. We can verify by going into server. So on server, when we check under the home directory of user 1, we see the file is uploaded here. So this is the default behavior. By default, anonymous users are able to log in without any password. When they log in, they go to their home directory, they go to the default database directory, that is this directory via FTP, and anonymous users can download but they cannot upload because they are not authenticated user, unknown. Then normal users can also log in because they are authenticated users, so they can do what? They can download and upload both. And also the normal users will log in and they go to their home directory. User 1 will go to user 1 home directory, user 2 will go to user 2's home directory. So this is the default configuration of FTP server. Now if we want to change something, we want to change something from the to the FTP server, we want to change some configurations. So for example, I want to change, I want to allow, I want to deny the anonymous user, because anonymous user is just a user which is not using or not authenticating himself. It is just another user. It is like unknown. So why we allow unknown user to log into our server and download the files? So we will what? We want to disable the anonymous user. Now for disabling the anonymous user, we have to change the configuration file, the main configuration file. The main configuration file is under etc vsftpd, and under that we have the vsftpd.conf. This is the main configuration file for this FTP service in our Linux. So let's see the file with not only the anonymous configuration, it is having other configurations also. So when you see the file here, when you open, I am opening the file in vim. So when you open the file, you will see some of the comments here which will explain something about the file. Then here in this first line it says this is the anonymous user. This is a configuration for anonymous user, and it says anonymous user anonymous underscore enable and is equal to yes, and that means the anonymous user is enabled. So this is the configuration, this is the line which is allowing the anonymous users to log in. Now if I want to remove this, remember the lines which is commented will not be read by the service, but these lines which is not commented, they will be used and they will be read by the configuration. These are the configurations, and these will be read when the service read this configuration file. So it says anonymous user is enabled, yes. If suppose I do this, I comment this line. If suppose I comment this line, let's I do this, I will go into insert mode, and then what I will do, I will comment this line by adding the hash in the beginning. But remember, you have to see this, what it says here. It says allow anonymous FTP. Be aware, allowed by default if you comment this out. So remember what I said, that always I said that in the configuration files, if suppose some lines are not are commented, some configurations are commented, or maybe they are not available, they are not configured here, they are not available in the file, but still they will be applied in the default status. So they will be applied in the default status, and the default status for the anonymous user is enabled. So if even we remove the line or comment the line, is still the anonymous user will remain available, enabled, and it will remain active, and it will still can connect the server. So if we want to disable the anonymous user, we want to remove the anonymous user, we want to disallow the anonymous user, so we will do what? We will explicitly type here no. We will type here no, and that will do what? It will disable the anonymous user. Then there is another settings, other settings are also there. For example, here it is saying local enable yes. By using this configuration, the normal users, authenticated users are allowed to log in. Then also the normal users are having the writable permission by using this from this configuration. That means the normal users can log in, and also they can do what? Write. Writing means upload. So they can do upload, and when the normal users upload any file to FTP server, that file will be deducted by subtracted by this umask, and then they will get the permission. Then these are the other configurations which is not applying because it is commented. Now commented means basically it is applying in the default state. Then we have the option here which is saying directory messages enable. So when we connect the server, it shows the messages. Then the log file logging is enabled here by using this, and the log format, this is the logging option, and this is for the connection port and port number 20. So basically FTP uses the port number 21 of TCP, but it uses also port number 20 for data. It is for FTP data. Here it is configured that FTP data is going to use port number 20. Then we have option here to the log format. It is deciding the format of the logs which is going to generate in the log files. Then the other configurations are commented here. Then we have this configuration at the end. It is saying listen is equal to no here, and it is saying listen is equal to IPv6 yes. Now this means what? Our machine is listening on IPv4 or IPv6. If you want your machine, your FTP server only listen on IPv4, then you can enable this. You will say yes here, and when you enable this, you have to make sure that this will be disabled. You cannot enable both at the same time. If this is enabled, if you configure yes here, then we have to configure no here. So if you want only IPv4, then we can use this. You can enable here, yes, say yes here and say no here. But if we want IPv6, then what we do? We say yes here and we say no here. But when you use IPv6, it is not only IPv6, it is actually both. It is IPv6 and IPv4 both. So when you have yes here, that means it is going to listen on IPv4 also and IPv6 also. But here it is going to listen only on IPv4. Then there is some other options are there. This is a PALM service named VSFTPD. This PALM service is actually password authentication manager service, and it uses this configuration file for that authentication management. This is saying user list enable is equal to yes. That means it is going to check the user list file. This user list file is available in the configuration directory, that is var after this under etc VSFTPD directory. So in that directory we have a file. In the configuration directory we have this user list file, and this option says check the file. So it is going to check the file. Then also it is going to check the TCP wrapper setting for allowing the users to connect this FTP server. It is saying yes, that means it is checking the TCP wrapper setting also. This TCP wrapper setting is to configure some users to deny the access of FTP server or allow the access. We can manage the access for FTP server by using the TCP wrappers. It is like a firewall we can create. So it is also supported here. Now these are the settings we have in the configuration file. I have not changed anything. I have just disabled the anonymous user. Now what I will do, I will save the file with these changes. Now I want to apply the changes. So what I will do, if for applying the changes in Windows, what we do, we reboot the machine, we reboot the whole system. But here we don't have to reboot the whole system. What we will do, we will just restart the service which is related to FTP, and it is going to reload the configurations. And for that we will only reload the service VSFTPD. I will say restart VSFTPD service. This will do the job. Now let's check anonymous user is able to log in or not. For that we'll go to client machine. Now from this client side, previously anonymous user was able to log in, so I will try it again. Anonymous without any password. Now it says login incorrect. Login incorrect because we have disabled the anonymous user. We have disabled the anonymous user. That means now anonymous users are not able to log in, but normal user can still log in. If I try to log in with user 1, so user 1 can still log in successfully. but anonymous users are not able to log in because we have disabled the anonymous access. Now if you try it from the browser, if you remember, browsers are accessing by default from the browser, it was accessing with the anonymous account. Now anonymous is disabled, and if I try to access it now, again the FTP server, it is trying to access with the anonymous. When it is failed, then it is asking the username and password. It says which username and password you want to access. So I will give user1 and the password ABC. And now we can see we are logged in as a user1, and we are in now the user1's home directory, and the home directory can have these files. So this is what we change the configuration, and we disable the anonymous user. Now why was the anonymous user is enabled by default? Why it was enabled by default? It was enabled by default because of some web applications. Like for example, if suppose some web developer develops the application and it uses the FTP for the database, like it stores some files on the FTP, and if suppose you go to the page, like it has developed the web application, you go to the website, and suppose this is the website, and this is the image here, this is you have a link for some files or images or videos, and when you want to download, it says if you want to download these videos, click here. So when you click here, it will download the file from the FTP server. So it could be a FTP link here. So developer can give the FTP link here to download the files, and it will store the file into the FTP server. Now because when you access the website, and if you don't want to if you don't have a anonymous user enabled, then what happened? When the user wants to download the file, it has to provide the username and password, because the anonymous access is disabled. So it is not good for the web developing. It is not good for our site, because we don't want user don't want to give username and password every time. It is not it is not good for ease of use. So when the user wants that when they click on the link, the file must be downloaded. So how it will be possible? Because of the anonymous user. So anonymous user is enabled because of these things, like when you configure the web applications or some applications, and you want to use the link or a link of the FTP database files, and you want to download those files without any authentication, so we can use the anonymous access. So that will be configured by the application developers to download the file from FTP server. They will give the link on their website. So that is why the anonymous user is available. It is enabled by default, but it is not having the upload right. Anonymous users was not having the upload right by default. Why? Because it is not secure to upload, give you upload permission to anyone who is not authenticated user. But if you want to give the upload right to anonymous user, then also we can do that. So we want to give upload right to anonymous user, we can do that, but that is not secure. So what we can do, we will try this. So if we want to give the upload permission to user root, so we can try to we'll go to the configuration file. First we have to allow the root to log in. So I will change this setting to yes. Now the anonymous user is enabled, but it is not getting the upload permission. So what we will do, we have the configuration available here. In line number 29, you can see it is saying what? Anon upload enable yes, but it is commented. So when it is commented, so it is not going to upload, it is not going to give anonymous user the upload permission. So what we have to do, we have to just uncomment the line. Now this will do what? It will allow the anonymous user to upload the upload files on our server. Remember, it is not secure, but still I am trying to enable it. So what I will do, I will save it, and then for update the changes, what I will do, I will restart the service. Now we'll check it from the client side, but whether we are able to upload the file from anonymous access or not. So we have enabled the anonymous access. Now I will try it to log in with anonymous account. I say anonymous must, I say yes, I want to access without any password. So I can log in now. Now we can still upload. We know that we can download the files, but I want to upload the file, and we have given the right to upload. So I will try to upload the file. So I will give the permission. I will use mput command here, and I will try to upload the file linux2.txt here again. I say yes. Now it is giving me another error. It is not giving me permission deny because I have allowed the anonymous user to upload. But it is giving me another error. It is saying could not create file. Now what that means is that we have the anonymous user is not having a permission on the directory where we are trying to upload the file. Now that means what? That means when anonymous user logs in, it goes to this FTP directory. And when anonymous user try to upload the file, that means it is trying to upload the file in this directory. Now anonymous is, remember, it is unknown. So what is the permission we have on this directory? So when we check, the permission is only for only write permission is for the root user, because the root user is owner, and all the other users are getting only read permission. And that is why we are getting the error that could not create file, because we have given the permission through the FTP service, but it is not able to create the file because it is not having a permission. No one is having the permission to write on this directory. That is because others are having the read permission only, read only permission. So if you want to allow the anonymous, that means we have to allow the other users. Remember, anonymous is not a user. It is just another nobody. So when it is nobody, that means we want to allow him to upload the file here. We want to allow the nobody to upload the file here. So we have to give the permission to others. So how will give the permission? So I will give the permission like by default the permission is 755. So I will give 757 on this where FTP directory. Now I will try to upload the file from client. Okay, now we are again in the client, and we are logged in. We are already logged in as an anonymous user. We have already logged in, and previously when we try to upload the file, it says could not create file because of the permission on the where FTP directory. Now I have given the permission. Now I will try to upload the file again. I say yes, I'm sure, and now the transfer is completed. So transfer is completed, that means the file is uploaded there, and we can see the file here, and also we can see the file on server that the file is uploaded. So when you go to server and you check the directory FTP, you can see the file is uploaded here. Now we have allowed the FTP anonymous user to upload the file in FTP server, but when you allow the FTP anonymous user, you have another problem. Now what is the problem? I will show you the problem now. Now what is the problem here? I will try to log in again. Let's try with the anonymous account. Anonymous. We have not able to log in, and we get another error. It is saying oops, it is saying the refusing to run the writable root inside chroot, login failed. Okay, I will try to log in as another user, normal user. So I will give user 1 and the password, and it is logged in successfully. So we are getting the problem because of the anonymous user. We have the right permission. So what is the problem here? Anonymous user is not able to log in. So why it is not able to log in? It is because it is saying here, the reason it is saying here that refusing to run with the writable root inside the chroot. By default, the chroot environment, the chroot configuration is enabled for anonymous user. And in chroot condition, what it do, it will not allow the user to log in when it is a writable permission for other users on this the root directory. The root directory, that means the FTP directory. So what was the permission, what is the problem here? It is the problem that we have given the right permission to others on this FTP directory, and this is the root directory for anonymous user. And when we use this, what happened then? The anonymous user is not able to log in because it is not allowed under this chroot environment. In chroot environment, it actually do what? It jailed the user. It jailed the user into a particular its own root directory. That means its own home directory. It will jail the user. So for anonymous, it is already configured. Now when I remove the write permission, then it will able to log in now. Previously what happened? We have already logged in, so no problem we face, and we uploaded the file after changing the permission. But when we logged out and try to log in again, so it is not allowing now. Now I have changed the permission to the default permission what was there previously. Now I will try to log in again as a anonymous. So I will try it again. Anonymous. Now the login is successful, but still it is not having a permission to write anything on this, upload anything on this directory. So it is not allowed for this anonymous user. But because we have allowed the user, so we can do what? We can allow the user, we can give the user permission on this pub directory, and that is why the pub directory is there. It is public directory. So we can change the permission on this pub directory. We can allow other users to upload or write on this directory, and still the anonymous user can log in with the chroot environment. Or either you use this directory, or you can create a separate directory for root user to upload, anonymous user to upload. We can create anonymous anon upload. We can create any directory with any name. For example, anon upload. And then what? When anonymous user wants to upload anything, then they will go to that directory and upload. So I can give the permission on this directory. Right now it is not having a permission to upload anything in this FTP root directory. So if it will try to upload, suppose it will try to input up.txt file, it will get the error could not create because we have not we have removed the permission from there. But we can give permission on any other directory inside FTP root directory. So I will go here. So instead of giving permission on the FTP directory, I will give the permission on pub directory, which is inside FTP directory. So the FTP directory is still having the default, but the pub directory now has a permission or write permission for other users. Now what? Anonymous user can log in. They can still log in. I will log out and log in again. I can log in and I can see the files, but I cannot upload here under the root directory, under the FTP directory, but I can upload in this directory. So I will go to the directory cd pub, and then what? There is no file there, so I will put some file there, up.txt, and I say yes, and it is transferred successfully. So if we want to allow anonymous user to upload files, so you have to give you have to create a separate directory for anonymous user in the FTP directory, and we have to give the other user write permission on the directory so that anonymous users can upload in that directory. We can't give them access on this root directory. Actually, this is the root directory of FTP user. It is right now under the pub. So when I go to this and check, it says slash. It is not showing that this is where FTP, it is showing slash. That means this is the root directory. But when you log in as a client, let me show you. When you log in as a normal client, so when you use pwd, it shows that you are under home user directory. That is the home this user one's home directory. Now that means what? This user is not in the jail environment, is not in a chroot environment. Now what is the problem of having a chroot environment and not having a chroot environment? Because it says this, what the user can do. Remember, this is the normal user. User can do what? It can go to /cd/ change successfully. Remember, it is normal user. Now what it can do? It can check pwd now. Now what it is showing here? It is showing now /. Now when you press ls, you can see the whole file system. Remember, this is normal user and it can see the whole file system. Let's say user is a normal user, but it wants to go to etc directory. etc where it is having all the configuration file. Change successfully. When it gives list command, it sees all the configuration files under the etc directory. Remember, it is normal user, but still it is seeing all the files, and where the other users are having the read permission, it can read those configuration files also, and it can also download the file. You can see the read permissions. It can see the configurations of those configuration file. It can see the file, it can download the file, it can download all those files which is having the read permission for others. So this is what a problem here, because normal users are not chroot. They are not under chroot. Only anonymous user is under chroot. But when you enable the chroot for other users, then the other user's home directory, we have to remove the permission. Otherwise we can't use that chroot, because on the root directory, if user has the right permission, then the user is not able to log in. But we can do the chroot. We can do the chroot for other users also, like anonymous user. So if we want to enable the chroot for normal users, then again we can do it from the configuration file. So I will go to configuration file again. Now this time I will disable the anonymous upload. So I comment the line. Now for enabling the chroot for normal users, we have a configuration here under the same configuration file, and we have the configuration here, chroot for local user. And when you want to enable the chroot for local users, then we will enable this line. What we have to do, we have to just remove the line, remove the comment, and then we will save and restart the service. It will do what? It will enable chroot for all the users. But if suppose we don't want to enable it for everyone, then what we can do, we can enable this for only some specific users. We can do that by using the second option. We have the second option. It says chroot list enable. Now this means what? We are enabling the chroot for the list of users, so that we have and if we are using this, then we have to create the list of users, and for that we have to enable this line also. And this line mentions that this is the list file which contains the usernames which we want to apply the chroot. So this file is not created, but after saving the file, after the saving of this configuration file, we have to create this file also, where we add the usernames which user we want to add for chroot. So I have enabled the list, chroot list, and then what I do, I did enable the list file also and the location of the file. So I have to remember the name and the path of the file, so that I have to create the same file. So I will save this now, and I will do what? I will create the same file, and under the file I will do what? I will put the usernames. Like for example, I will say user1, then I will say user 3, then so on. Now whatever the name I'm giving here, they will get the chroot environment. That means if they want to go outside of their home directory, they cannot go. Okay, I save this, and then I will do what? I will restart the service to update the configurations. Now we will verify this from the client side. Okay, so I will try to log in as user 1. Remember, we have configured the user 1 for chroot. Now first, it will not allow the user to log in. It is not allowing the user to log in because we have enabled the chroot for the user, and when the chroot is enabled, user cannot log in because it is having the write permission on the root directory. So for that, what we have to do, we have to remove the write permission for the user from the root directory. Now this time root directory for the user is what? It is actually the home directory of the user 1, and on this directory it is having the permission of read write because it is the directory of the user 1. So it is having the read write permission on it. So we have to remove this write permission so that user can log in. So these configurations are not for the users which is logging into terminal. It is the users who's only using the FTP services. That means we can enable the chroot for only those users which is only using the FTP services, because we are removing the home directory, we are removing the permission on the home directory. So what we do, we can remove the permission. So I will do what? chmod, and then the permission is 7, so I will say 6, I will say 5, and 00 for others on the home directory of user 1. Now only read and execute for the user 1, and other users are not having any permission. Now the user can log in. Now I will try to log in again with user 1 account. Oh, wrong password. User 1, and it is logging now. So it was happening same with the anonymous because of that chroot. Now we enable the chroot for user 1. So when you run this pwd command, you can see it is showing now /. It is not showing the path of the home directory, and that means it cannot change the directory now. If you try to change the go to /, it says successfully, but it still remain in this. And when you try to list, you will see only the files which is under the home directory of user 1. If you try to go to etc, it says failed to change the directory because user 1 is now under the chroot. But if I try to log in as a user 2, login successful. When I check, this is my home directory. When I give the pwd command, it shows the path. That means this is not my home directory, and this user can still go to etc and see the configuration files. So this is what the chroot configuration we have. Now one more thing, when you use this FTP command to connect the FTP server, this is the client tool, and when we use this, so we are not able to see the local machine. If we want to see the local machine files, then what we have to do, we have to do the we have to go to other terminal to see the files of the local machine, or we have to run, if we want to run some command here in the local machine, then we have to open the other terminal, because when you logged into the FTP server, so only these FTP commands will work. That means when you give help, so these only commands will work here, because this is what FTP terminal. It is not the local machines command, and that is why it is not showing the local machine files. If I give ls, so it will show the files which is on server. It will not show the file which is inside our local machine. So when I run ls, I logged in as a user 1, so it is showing the file on server, it is not showing the local file. So the command is running on server, it is not running on local system. To run the command on local system, we have to go to other terminal and then we have to run the command. Now if you don't want to open the other terminal, then what you can do, you can use the exclamatory sign and then the command. This will do what? It will run the command to local system. So you can run the ls command normally in FTP terminal, and that will run the command on the server and list the server content. But if you want to list the local content, then you can give the exclamatory sign and ls. So it will list the local content of local directory in the local server. Now you can run any other command also on the local server. You don't have to exit from the terminal, or you don't have to open other terminal here. So you can run the commands also by using the exclamatory sign. Like for example, I want to run ifconfig to check the IP configuration. It is not a valid command because it is not an FTP command. But same command, when I run with the exclamatory sign, then it runs and it shows me configuration of IP. Why? Because it is running now in a local system. So this is what you can do to run the local system commands. Now after chroot, one more thing we can do. I will try to log in as a root now. Now this time I will try to log in as a root user. What it says? Permission denied, login failed, and not even ask the password also. Because the root user is not allowed to access remotely. Basically, most of the services are not allowing the root user to access remotely. Why? Because the services are not secure. By default, this FTP service is not secure. Whatever you type here, username and password, and anything else, any command, any file you transfer, everything goes from the client to server in plain text. That means if any hacker gets the data, if any hacker comes man in the middle and it try to capture the data, it can see the whole data. It can see your username, it can see your password, because it is not secure. And because of that reason, the root user is not allowed by default. But if you want, then you can allow root user also. And also you can deny some other user by using the same configuration which we use to deny the root user. So if you want to allow the root user or you want to deny some other user, then you can use the same configuration. And for that you can go to the server. Now on server, how they are denying, how the root user is denied. So it is because of the configuration files under the, we'll go to the configuration directory of the FTP. Now here we have the configuration files. We have this file we have created for chroot users. This is our main configuration file. This is our main configuration file, and we have this file user list. This user list file, we in the configuration file, remember the last line says, the last line configuration says user list enable is equal to yes, and because of that the FTP service is checking this file. Now what is inside the file? So let's see what is we have in this file. So under the file, what we have here, it says that if the user list deny is equal to no option is available in the configuration file. Remember, it says that if this option is there in the configuration file, but by default this configuration is not there. It is not there. But if it is there, then only allow users in this file. That means it will only allow the user which users names are in this file, and it will not allow any other user. If the configuration user list deny is equal to no is there in our main configuration file, but it is not there. So what is there? It is nothing there actually. It is not there. But another option saying user list deny is equal to yes. Now this is also not there in the configuration file. But what it says, it is default. So whether this configuration, this line is there in the file or not doesn't matter, because it is by default configured. So by default it goes with this. Now what this says, it says allow the users in this, never allow users in this file, and do not even prompt for password also. And this is because this is by default configured. It is not in the configuration file, main configuration file, but still it is because it is default. What the service do, it is not allowing the users which names here in this file, and not even asking the password also. And we can see the root username is here. So if I want to allow the root, then what I will do, I will remove the name of the root user here. Like for example, I can just comment it. Or if I want to allow someone to access this, also I want to deny someone, so I can add the name here. That means this user will also be denied and not even ask the password. But not only this file, it also it is saying note that the default pass VSFTPD PALM config also checks this file, which is FTP users, and for users that are denied. So the service also checks this file, which is also under the configuration file, and in this file also we have the name for root there. So even if we enable it from here, it is not been enabled because of this file. So I will save this, and this is what user list file, a FTP user file. This is very simple file. It is saying users that are not allowed to log in via FTP. Simple. If you have name here, you are not able to log in, and if the user root is there, then it is not able to log in. If you want to allow, remove the username, and if you want to deny someone, then add that username here. Like I want to add user 1 also here. Now that means what? The user 1 will not be allowed, just like root user, and root user will be allowed because we have removed the name of the root user from there. Then I will update the configuration, and then we can check it from the client side that whether it is allowing the root user or not, and also whether it is denying the root normal user 1 or not. So previously it was not allowing the root user to log in, not even asking the password. Now when I try to log in again with root account, and you can see now it is asking the password. And we are logged in successfully. But if I try to log in as a user 1 now, so it is denied, permission denied, not even ask the password also. This is what we can use to allow or deny some users. Now why we are doing this? Because FTP is not secure by default. It is not secure by default. So I will change this again. I will change the configuration again. I will remove the user 1 from here, and I will add the root user again, and I say deny the root user now, don't deny normal user. So why we are denying this? Because the configuration, this service is not secure. Why it is not secure? Because it is sending the data in plain text. That means it is sending and receiving the data using the plain text communication. It is not using any secure communication. It is not securing the communication. So if any hacker comes man in the middle, then it can see all your username and password. It can see all your data. So what we can do? We can actually do what? We can use a secure connection. We can use a secure connection. Secure connection with not FTP command, we can use SFTP command. Now this SFTP command is what? It is secure FTP, and it comes with FTPA, OpenSSH toolkit, OpenSSH client package. So it comes with the OpenSSH package. It is a part of the OpenSSH package, just like the SSH command, SCP command, secure copy command. This is secure FTP command. And it do what? It uses the secure connection. It actually uses the SSH tunnel to send the data securely to FTP server. So it do the communication by using the SSH tunnel, and that is secure. So if anyone try to get the data, try to see what you are sending or receiving, you will not see. They will not be able to see because it is uses the same FTP tunnel. So if I use this, then I can directly log in as a root. It will allow us to log in as a root because it is now secure. Remember, we have denied the blocked the FTP root user to access the FTP server, but still it is accessing with this SFTP command, and it is accessing because this command use the SSH tunnel to secure the communication, and it do the secure connection. So now we can log in with the FTP user, and also we can do what? We can use all the other commands same as the FTP. We can use all these commands. We can download, we can upload. So we can use put command, we can use get command to get, to put command to put. So we can use this command to upload and download also. So everything what we can do with these this command also. But it is what the secure connection. It is actually doing the secure connection. Now remember, root user is still not allowed if we try to log in as a normal account, as a normal FTP connection. Still it is not allowed. Still it is denied. But we can use the SFTP to do the secure connection to FTP server, and we can still log in as a root account. And if we want to log in as a normal user with using the SFTP connection, so just like we use it in SSH, we will mention the SFTP, then user1 at the machine name or IP, and it will allow us to connect. Now it is not it has not asked the password because we have configured the key-based authentication for user1. So it is not asking the password for user1 because we configured the SSH. We have configured the SSH key-based authentication for user1, but for user2 it is asking the password, and we are logged in as a user2. It does not have any data in his home directory, but user1 has these files there. So this is the FTP server we configured on our Linux system. We configure the FTP server, we test the client, we test the connection from the client, and also we use the secure connection by using the SFTP. We modify some settings, we see the default setting, and also we have modified some required settings. So this is our FTP server in our RHEL Linux.